Well, switching gears now, the weather overseas can be just as severe and tumultuous as we see here in the U.S. But here's a look at some new video we just got in this morning of dramatic footage captured from a fishing boat traveling in the Gulf of Naples, showing the splashing as golf ball-sized hailstones slammed into the water.
Absolutely incredible. Well, you know, the weather impact on consumers and business is truly a global phenomenon. And business expert and meteorologist Paul Walsh has just returned from a week-long trip in Australia, here to discuss this morning with us all that he's learned. And so, Paul, good day to you. First of all, how are you doing in Australia? How'd it go?
So, Paul, what were you actually doing in the land down under?
Well, great question, Paul. I was actually over there with our partners with IBM Analytics, visiting clients and doing some speaking engagements. But most importantly, I spent 2 days at the Melbourne Spring Fashion Show, which was something I never thought I'd be able to say I was doing.
But we talk about weather and buying clothes and things like that, so it makes sense. So what are we talking about as far as weather and impact on the economy in that regard?
Well, you know, interestingly, Australia is as big as the United States. I think a lot of people don't realize that. But in terms of population, there's only about the same amount of people that live in Texas. So there's a smaller concentration of people. That means that people are generally actually as impacted, if not more, by the weather in Australia than they are here in the U.S. And spring fashion, just like fall fashion here in the U.S., is dramatically impacted by the weather. So what retailers are looking at over there is, like in the U.S., they're looking at weather and data to help them understand better what people are going to be needing, even as it relates to fashion.
And quickly, Paul, what about El Nino? I know it's a big impact here in the U.S. We're hoping for rain in California. What about Australia?
It's a huge impact, Paul. In fact, from an agricultural perspective, El Nino can be disastrous for the folks in Australia. So they're really sort of bracing themselves for a return to another year of very, very significant drought, which will have an impact on the ag business, which could impact us here ultimately.
All right, Paul Walsh, as always, thanks for your perspective. Interesting to tie it all from down under to back home. And yeah, we are all connected. Global economy for sure.
Speaking of the globe, hey, Tropical Storm Grace is churning in the Atlantic, half a world away, but it's headed towards the U.S. slowly.